Good evening, baseball fans, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Bullpen Bulletin here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We are coming down to the wire in the MLB season. 1 week to go. Before that, we have some announcements here in the baseball world. First, we have a most definite future Hall of Fame pitcher announcing his retirement. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Also, the MLB announces a major change to their game formula, to their officiating, their umpiring. Really significant move here. We're going to talk about that. Of course, we have our injury updates, which are never ending. Honestly, we could have had an injury segment from the get-go. But nonetheless, we'll take a look at the latest injury news. It is Tuesday night, which means we have every team in baseball playing. We'll have our live score update. And instead of who's hot, who's not, we're going to replace that with a playoff race update because, let's face it, nobody cares about probably 15 teams in the league at this point, whether they're hot or not. We'll also take a look at our upcoming series to watch, but not just the upcoming series, the current series and how significant they are for the rest of the way. We have our On This Day in Baseball History segment, our minor league spotlight, where we're looking at the minor league playoffs, and we're going to take a look at the award races coming down the rest of the season. We've got a jam-packed episode, lots of baseball to talk about. This is Mike Patt for the Bullpen Bulletin here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We're going to hear a quick word about our sponsors and get right to it. Don't go.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
And welcome back to the Bullpen Bulletin here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Once again, those of you who are regular listeners of the show, but also new listeners, welcome back. If you are a fan of the show or the people on it, do be sure to follow us on X at the Bullpen Bulletin, at BP Bulletin _ISR. You can also follow Ricky, one of my normal co-hosts, at Rickinator555. Myself at IESR_DMV, and Alden at the AZTRL. And without further ado, folks, let's dive right into it. Like I said, lots of baseball to talk about. But first, we have some pretty major news with Clayton Kershaw officially announcing his plans to retire. Clayton Kershaw, longtime pitcher for the Los Angeles Dodgers, and he has finally decided to hang it up. And what a career he has had for the Dodgers, a career spanning 18 seasons, including his current year, an 11-time All-Star, including 7 times in a row from 2011 through 2017, World Series champion, of course, also a NL MVP, which is a rare award for a pitcher to win MVP outright. But he did so in 2014, also a 3-time Cy Young winner, Gold Glove winner, led the National League in wins 3 times, ERA 5 times, and strikeouts 3 times. And I honestly, I feel kind of bad for those who really only got into baseball in the last 8 or 9 years, because you missed what was his peak, which was one of the greatest peaks of a pitcher. His rookie season, he had an above 3 ERA. I think it was something in the area of 3.5. I'm going to take a look right now here. It was okay. It was a little bit higher than that. It was a 4.26 ERA. That was in his rookie season back in 2008. His ERA for an entire season would not get above 3. It would be below 3 every year until 2019, and even in 2019 it was a 3.03. And then he had 2 more or 3 more sub to 5 years, 2020, which you might put an asterisk next to, 2022 and 2023. And then obviously, as he started to age a little bit, injury started to catch up with him. The number started to decrease just a little bit, but just an absolutely incredible run from 2013. These are his ERAs, 2011 through 2017, the 7 years that in a row that he made the All-Star team. All right, are you ready for this? 2.28, 2.53, 1.83, 1.77, 2.13, 1.69, 2.31. Like only once, just narrowly inching above the 2.5 mark. Just absolutely outstanding. And then the strikeout numbers. I mean, my goodness. 2010 through 2015, 6 consecutive years with above 200 strikeouts, reaching 301 in 2015. Absolutely absurd. And then back up above the 200 mark in 2017, and then it kind of tails off a little bit. 3,045 career strikeouts. In his 450 games, he has 222 wins, one of the few 200 win pitchers. Now, it's an interesting stat, and I think Ricky and I might have touched on this stat not super long ago, but it wasn't that long ago that pitchers could reach, like the best pitchers, obviously, could reach 300 wins. We saw a lot of guys in the 90s, early 2000s, Roger Clemens, Randy Johnson, Greg Maddux, all these guys reached 300 wins. And now we're in the era where your really good pitchers are in the 200 wins. Clayton Kershaw's at 200, Max Scherzer's at 200. There's a handful of the other veteran pitchers. Justin Verlander's in the 200s. But you look at the next generation, not a lot of guys are close. Garrett Cole, I think, has a shot to get to 200 if he can get healthy. That has been his problem lately, and the problem of a lot of pitchers. But nobody else is really that close. And you just wonder who, and there's a drop-off, by the way, after Cole, and of course, obviously, all of the older, generation guys who are already there, or the guys that there's just no chance. Like, I think Dallas Keuchel is in the high 100s, but there's no way he's ever getting to 200. But after Cole, there's a drop off, and you're not going to see a guy for several years come into that conversation. In fact, you almost got to start to think that you need to look at some of these younger guys, like really young guys, like maybe your Paul Skeens of the world, even guys like Tariq Skubal's already 29. Like, if he's not halfway there, can you really believe that he'll get to 100? 200? I mean, he's been doing pretty well the last couple of years, so you hope so. So Skubal, you might throw his name on the list. Garrett Crochet, you might throw his name on the list. But I don't even think any of those guys are even to 100 yet, which is just amazing to think about. But yes, Clayton Kershaw, fantastic career. I can say that I am privileged to have watched him pitch, especially in his prime, and a surefire Hall of Famer. If he's not first ballot, I would try to argue that he's unanimous, but the way the voting goes, who really knows if a player will be unanimous or not. I'm just looking down the wins list really quickly. I did this the other day. Yeah, Garrett Cole's at 153. He's 35. Real iffy there. Charlie Morton doesn't have a chance. Chris Sale probably doesn't have a chance. And then you just start scrolling. Sonny Gray doesn't really have a chance. Yu Darvish does not have a chance. Jose Quintana, no. Zach Wheeler, who we've talked about, no. Carlos Carrasco, Kevin Gausman, no. Patrick Corbin, Michael Wacha. These are the next guys who are active on the list. Jose Barrios, it's a maybe to me. I could see him starting to creep close. Aaron Nola with his recent stretch, no. Kyle Hendricks, no. Dallas Keuchel, like I said. Eovaldi's no shot. And then now you're getting to guys that are in the 90s. Jacob deGrom, absolutely not. Carlos Rodon, no. Max Fried, no. Rich Hill, definitely not. Stroman, no. Robbie Ray, no. Bassett, Luis Castillo, no. Yeah, no, you're just in the name of guys that are just already too old to have a fair shot. Framber Valdez is not. Taijuan Walker's not. So yeah, it's going to have to be one of these super young generation guys that are not even close that are going to have to try to get to that 200 win mark. Now let's move on to another major announcement where the MLB finally announced that they will be moving to the automated ball strike system next year. Well, sort of. They're going to allow players to challenge balls and strikes for 2026, which is the same formula that they have been using in the minor leagues. Like I said, I saw it in a minor league game earlier this year. Not only does it not really take a ton of time at all or tack on a ton to the game, because guys don't challenge it a lot and the challenge only takes like 10 seconds. It's actually really interesting. Like you see the guy challenge and you're instantly on the scoreboard. You're fascinated, like, ooh, did he call it? Did he get it right? I actually saw a guy challenge it and be right. I think this is a great move. Each team will get 2 challenges, with extra challenges being awarded in extra inning games. So I think this is a great move. I think it eliminates one of the more unnecessarily controversial components of the game. Arguing over balls and strikes, which I mean, it's every play you could have that argument, and I think this will help alleviate some of that. I wonder if umps are going to feel a little bit more pressure to get the calls right and whatnot. Now, I do wonder if an ump is having a really bad game, how the limit on challenges is going to go. I think I saw something in here. Let me reread the formula here. So only hitters, pitchers, and catchers will be allowed to challenge. And if you challenge it and you're correct, you retain the challenge. So that's the important key. So if you challenge it and you're right, you still have that challenge. So that is good to know. So I guess it's not necessarily a 2 limit. Well, I mean, you can get 2 wrong, I guess is the limit there. But yeah, I think this is a good change. I think it's a needed change. I think it's just one of those components of the game that too many calls were being missed. Too many people were getting ejected over arguing for missed calls. I think that'll alleviate some of that, some of the need for the arguing, which probably, by the way, that probably is what really slowed down games, is when the manager would go running out of the dugout and yell at the ump for 2 minutes. That's a lot worse than a 10-second challenge to me. But yeah, I think it's a good change. I think it will even out some of the oddities that you see in umpiring. And I think it'll make for a more fair game. So that's all I have to say about that. I'm excited for it. And like I said, if you go to a live game and it happens live, I mean, you're going to be on the edge of your seat. You're going to be like, ooh, did he get it right? Did he challenge it right? Or did the ump get it right? What's it going to be? So I like it. I think it's necessary. I think it's going to be a useful tool, and it's not really going to slow the game down. In fact, I think it's going to give the game much more credibility, much more reliability, and I think it'll just be more fun for fans. Although it will give fans one less thing to complain about, so maybe, and from that aspect, it won't be as good for fans. But I digress. Now we are going to quickly touch on injuries here. Of course, like I said in the intro, we probably could have had an injury segment this whole time, but alas, hindsight's 2020. Thankfully, not huge major news that I have seen looking across the MLB. Brian Wu for the Mariners looks like they're going to do their best to avoid an IL stint. So that's good for him. The Blue Jays activated Anthony Santander, so hopefully his bat can help them in their playoff push. The Mets are losing Tyler McGill. The Brewers are getting Trevor McGill back. And then I'm just now seeing that a Guardians player, David Fry, was hit in the face by a 99-mile-per-hour pitch. So that's not comfortable. So I hope he comes out okay there. But yeah, not huge major news. I think everybody's just kind of really trying to make sure their guys are good for the playoffs. I did see that the Red Sox are hopeful they'll get Roman Anthony back. The Cubs are hopeful for the return of Kyle Tucker. Among some of the major names that are on the injured list. Javi Baez will return for the Tigers in time, assuming that they hold on, which we'll get to that in a moment. But yeah, not a lot of bad news, really, mostly just good news. A lot of guys fighting to get their way back onto these rosters for the playoff push, and that's really great to see. Really great to see that more and more teams will be closer to full health by the time the playoffs start. Now, of course, it is Tuesday evening, which means that every team is playing today. I don't know if I saw any finals. Oh, wait, we do have some finals, yes. So let's start with those. The Guardians. This is big. We'll get to this one in a moment. But the Guardians beat the Tigers 5-2 today. They beat Tariq Skubal, who's coming back from his injury. So that is very interesting to see. The Pirates defeated the Reds. That is also significant. 4-2. That's a big one in the National League race for the wild card. Currently, we have the Orioles are beating the Rays 4-0. That one is in the top of the sixth. Dean Kramer pitching a heck of a game in that one. One hit allowed in 6 innings so far. The Braves are beating the Nationals 3-2. That one in the bottom of the 8th. The Phillies and Marlins are tied. This one is headed to the bottom of the 9th. Phillies coming up to bat. Here, we've got the Red Sox are ahead of the Blue Jays 4-1. Big divisional series there. The Cubs and Mets are tied at 6. That one is in the top of the 6th. Oh, by the way, that Blue Jays Red Sox game is midway through the 7th. We have the Twins are leading the Rangers 2-1. That one in the middle of the 4th. And we have a load of West Coast games. My goodness, we have the Royals facing off against the Angels. That one's set to start in about 20 minutes. Same with Rockies at Mariners. The Dodgers are in Arizona to face the Diamondbacks. The Brewers battling it out with the Padres there in San Diego. The Cardinals go toe-to-toe with the Giants in a random meeting of teams that are exactly 77 and 80. And the Astros are visiting the Athletics in Sacramento. So, those are your live scores. Now we are going to jump to what normally would have been our Who's Hot and Who's Not segment. This week, it has changed just solely to playoff race updates because let's face it, nobody cares about that Rays-Orioles series. Nobody cares about that Nationals-Braves series. Let's just get to what's hot right now, and that is the playoff races with less than a week, 5 days. 5 days after today, pretty much everybody has 4 or 5 games left. By Friday, everybody will have a 3-game series remaining. So yeah, going to be a real interesting down the stretch. Let's start with the American League. First off the bat, we have the Tampa Bay Rays, Baltimore Orioles, Minnesota Twins, Chicago White Sox, Athletics, and Los Angeles Angels have all been outright mathematically eliminated. Conceptually, the Royals and Rangers are out of it. They have a several game gap, each 5.5 and 6.5 games back. In fact, I don't know how mathematically uh, the Royals are even still in it. They should be eliminated. But in any case, those two are not going to make it. So really, that handicaps it down to a seven teams. Toronto has clinched their playoff spot. They have not clinched their division, which makes their current losing to Boston that much more significant. Did I see where were the Yankees on here? Are the Yankees not playing? Or did I announce their score? Oh, they're playing the White Sox. Sorry, 2-1 there. All right, that makes both those losses, the current losing situation, significant. The Mariners hold a 3-game lead in the American League West, and they just had a very crucial series sweep of the Astros, which I believe all but clinches the division for them. If we look at the regular season series, Seattle won the regular season series and has a 3-game lead, which means Houston would have to outright jump them, which I just don't see happening. So Seattle has the West basically on lock. The Blue Jays have a 2-game lead over the Yankees. As I said, the Yankees currently hold the top wild card spot. They are 3 games ahead of the Red Sox and 2.5 games ahead of Detroit/Cleveland, who are now tied for the central lead, a lead that was double digits not that long ago. Detroit just absolutely ice cold down the stretch. Cleveland has gotten red hot. And Cleveland, by the way, with their victory today, wins the season series against Detroit. So even if they were to split the rest of the way, the rest of the series, Cleveland now has the advantage. So that is big. Detroit has lost now 7 in a row, which is absolutely abysmal and completely terrible timing for them. And then you've got Houston, as discussed. They are a half a game out of the wild card, which is technically Detroit as the third wild card team right now. And then you also have Boston, who currently owns the second wild card spot over Detroit. So you've got Toronto, Cleveland, or the rankings seedings right now, because they do divisions and then wild card. Your Toronto would be the first seed if the season ended today. Let me check and see what their tiebreaker is with the Yankees. Who owns that? So Toronto owns the tiebreaker, so that gives them a big, big advantage. So Toronto's the 1 seed. Seattle is the 2 seed, which is a weird statement to say. And then Cleveland is the 3. The Yankees would be 4. Boston would be 5. Yes, give me that series in the wild card round. And Detroit is 6 with the Astros on the outside looking in. Now, the interesting thing is that those last 3, Boston, Detroit, and Houston. Detroit's lost 7 in a row. Houston's lost 3 in a row because they lost the series to Seattle. And Boston has a losing record in their last 10. So nobody exactly charging up the ranks here, aside from Cleveland and Seattle, who are both hot. Yankees are hot. They've won 7 out of 10. Toronto, 6 of the last 10. I think that order, at least at the top, will most likely stand. Who did I say the Mariners were playing tonight? Let's see. Mariners have Colorado. Should be 2 out of 3, maybe a sweep. Yeah, I think that top 4, Blue Jays, Mariners, Guardians, and Yankees, will probably hold. I do think Cleveland continues their hot streak. Like I said, even if they split the rest of this with Detroit, and then they have their finishing series at home against the Rangers, pretty good advantage there. And then Detroit would have to have a major, major push to end the season. And they're Boston. So they might have the toughest series we'll talk about in a second there. Now, those last 2 spots, Boston, Detroit, Houston, I mean, it could go to any one of those 3. Boston's got a really tough stretch at Toronto and against Detroit. Detroit obviously has Boston. That series might determine who's in and who's out, in all honesty. And then Houston, where did we see Houston on this list? They do get the Athletics down the stretch here. That's a pretty good draw to get. Hang on a second. My mouse is being weird. But in any case, Houston, I don't know, man. The injuries are concerning me a bit. So we'll just have to see how they overcome that. But those last two spots in the American League, man, they are up for grabs. The good news is that the team that's going to get them probably 87 wins ish. So that's a pretty fair mark for a playoff team. 87, 88 wins to get you in. That's pretty good. Moving over to the National League, let's start it the same way here. We have Atlanta, Washington, Pittsburgh, and Colorado are outright mathematically eliminated. Conceptually, Miami is out of it, San Francisco's out of it, and St. Louis is out of it. I don't think that they can jump all the way up, any of those teams, although Miami is hot. I cannot necessarily write them off. We'll just talk about all of those teams, lump them into one category because we have Milwaukee, Chicago, and Philadelphia, Los Angeles, and San Diego have all clinched. Okay. Now, Milwaukee has a distinct advantage for the top seed. They have that lead. Now, they do face San Diego, which is tough. Philly's been decent, and Milwaukee's both have been decent. Those are the only two teams really at the shot. But I think, though, that's your 1 and 2 order. Outside chance that the order switches around a little bit, but I doubt it. I think Milwaukee 1 and Philly 2, which would then put the Dodgers pretty much at 3. San Diego has a little bit of a tough stretch here. And if I am correct, I believe it is the Dodgers who own the season series here. Yes, the Dodgers own the season series. They do play each other to end the season, it looks like. So that will be entertaining, to say the least. But I do believe that actually, no, they don't play each other. That math must have been wrong then. Or maybe not updated. No, the Dodgers have the Diamondbacks and the Mariners. I think they definitely win enough to hold on to that division, which would then put San Diego in a bit of a battle with the Cubs. The Cubs currently own the top spot in the wild card with San Diego 2.5 games back. So that'll be a somewhat interesting battle. Let's see, who Chicago got? Chicago is currently going against the Mets, who are fighting for their lives. So we'll see on that front. A couple of comments in here. We've got Joey Jetson here with a Let's Go Yankees. Larry B, we will miss Kershaw on the mound. Absolutely. Joey Jets is right as well. Detroit's downturn has been absolutely insane. It matches the Mets' downturn the year the Phillies won the World back in 2008 when the Phillies won the World Series. Very reminiscent of that. By the way, it's a good vibe for Cleveland if they want to use that as their marker there. Brian Francione jumping in, watching the Sox up 4-1 on the Blue Jays. Yes, sir. We'll see if the wild card Red Sox can keep that going. And yeah, the Marlins being mathematically alive is still pretty amazing. And honestly, so let's talk about that 6th seed in the National League. So you've got the Mets currently hold it because Cincinnati lost earlier, 80 and 76. I mean, are we going to see an 82 or an 83 win playoff team? That feels really, really weird to think that an 83 win team could make the playoffs. But, because the Mets haven't run away with it, Cincinnati's crawled back into it. And then Arizona's not far off. They're only a game back, which is amazing because they sold pretty heavily at the deadline. So for them to be in contention is incredible. And then, yeah, I mean, St. Louis and San Francisco don't have enough momentum, I think, but Miami I mean, look, they're playing a Phillies team that doesn't really have a ton to play for. Then they play the Mets. Like Miami, if Miami rattles off 6 in a row here, I mean, if they sweep the Mets, they would most likely jump the Mets, right? Would that be enough though? Do they have the season advantage over the Mets? If they swept, they would. They have to win all 6. They win all 6, they knock the Mets out, probably, unless the Mets sweep the Cubs, which I would be very surprised if that happens. Cincinnati would have to go 3-2 to clear. They have Pittsburgh, who you would think great, but they just lost to, and Milwaukee. I'm sure Milwaukee would love to kick their division rivals out of the playoffs. I'm sure they would. If Miami, hang on, let me check something here. If Miami and the Reds tie, who has the advantage? Let's see. Stick with me here, folks. We're doing mathematical research right now. All right. Looks like they only played Miami in the first half. All right. Let's see. The Marlins own the tiebreaker over the Reds. You know, it could it happen, guys? Comment in the chat. Do you think the Miami Marlins sweep their last 6 games and make the playoffs? And would that not be one of the wild? First of all, they'll have won 12 in a row. Joey Jets, he's got money on it. The other team to consider here is the Diamondbacks, who 79-77. They have the Dodgers, so that's a tough one. And they have so they have 2 tough matchups. Getting to 80 and 82, or if they get to 83, they outright clear. If they get to 82, does look like they have the advantage over Miami. They swept them earlier in the year. That's a good sign. And then got swept. That would be interesting. Oh, even more drama. If the Diamondbacks get to 82 and 80 and the Marlins are 82 and 80, but then who will, oh, y'all, I'm not going to dive too deep into this, but let's just end the conversation here by saying that 6th wild card in the National League could be one of the most interesting races in recent memory if the Mets continue their collapse. Now, they are winning right now. I'll give them credit. They're beating the Cubs right now. That would go a long way to helping them if they secured a victory tonight. Massive, massive victory. It ain't over yet, though. It's, whew. Man, Cincinnati would have to go 3. Man, yep, we're ending it here because we could have a whole show about that. And I do apologize for dragging that out a little bit. Let's jump ahead to our series to watch. Obviously, right now, the main series that has to be on everybody's mind, Boston and Toronto is really interesting. Mets and Cubs, really interesting. Detroit and Cleveland. That is the big series going on right now. I think that is going to go a long way towards determining a couple of important playoff positions in the American League. That is, to me, looking at the list, by far the most significant series right now. Boston and Toronto, I would say that one's a solid second. Miami and Philly's going to get consideration because of how close Miami is in this thing. And then you also have to talk about Dodgers and Diamondbacks, because the Diamondbacks are like creeping their way back, and Milwaukee, San Diego, also really interesting. But looking ahead to this upcoming weekend, big series to watch are Detroit and Boston. Huge series. Huge. We just talked about that wild card series. That one is massive. Both teams need victories, and both teams with tough current matchups as well, with Detroit and Cleveland and Boston and Toronto. So very stressful end of the year for them. You also have Cincinnati and Milwaukee for the Cincinnati component in the National League wild card. Arizona and San Diego because of Arizona. And then the Dodgers and Seattle, which of those West Coast teams can take a momentum into the playoffs. So big series coming up, a really interesting weekend of baseball ahead of us. And wait, did I miss? I missed one. Didn't I miss one? I feel like there was a series that I missed. Oh yeah, Mets and Marlins could be a very interesting series. It could not be. If the Mets take 2 of 3, well, no. If some combination happens where Miami's mathematically eliminated, then whatever. But if it's a 3-game gap and Cincinnati or Arizona haven't taken hold of the race, it's going to be a fun one, guys. This is going to be a fun one. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to talk about our day in history. Ricky K is going to take us through that. And then we're going to look at some minor league playoffs. And then we are going to dive into the award races for the final stretch of the season. Do not go away. You are listening to the Bullpen Bulletin here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go. For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop, including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's going on, everybody? Ricky K here from the Bullpen Bulletin and IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Looking back at this day in baseball history, September 23rd, we have a few things to take a look at. 2022, of course, everybody remembers tracking Aaron Judge back then, but also you had Albert Pujols hitting his 700th career home run. Of course, Pujols going back to the Cardinals, taking on the Dodgers, a team who he ends up playing with. Just a memorable milestone for Pujols, who, of course, prime years with St. Louis, ends up going to the Angels, spends some time over there, not really that memorable, and then gets back to St. Louis, at least gets to achieve that milestone with the team that everybody is really familiar with him with. 2008, the Dodgers picked up a 10-1 win, but the win isn't that important. It's Manny Ramirez. Remember, he was traded from the Red Sox to the Dodgers, and on that day, Manny Ramirez became just the second player, joining Carlos Beltran, to have 50-plus RBIs in both leagues. So to have 50-plus RBIs in basically the span of 2 months. Manny was big for the Dodgers back then. I know they didn't make the World Series in 2008. They lost to the Phillies in the LCS, but still a heck of a run for Manny Ramirez. And 40-40 Club was founded on this date in 1988. Jose Canseco hits home run and steals 2 bases in the A's 14-inning win over the Brewers. To this day, there are only 6 players in the 40-40 Club. Jose Canseco, Barry Bonds, A-Rod, Alfonso Soriano, Ronald Acuna Jr., and of course last year, Shohei Ohtani. We won't have a third straight year of 40-40. But still an elusive club. And looking it up, you're like, Jose Canseco in the 40-40 Club? But yes, that is a reality. That was This Day in Baseball History here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all this sports. Back to you, Mike.
That was Ricky K with your This Day in Baseball History. Wild to think that Pujols only hit his 700th home run 3 years ago. That feels like it was ages ago that he played. Maybe it was because of his struggles at the end of his career. He wasn't quite the same player he was. But in any case, an absolutely amazing milestone. Incredible. Manny Ramirez. I feel like we only remember Manny Ramirez for his antics. I feel like we don't give him credit for his statistical accomplishments. He was a fantastic baseball player, and to achieve 50 RBIs in both the American League and National League in the same season is incredible. And then Jose Canseco, like Ricky said, starting the 40-40 Club, that would not have been my guess for the guy who started the 40 home run, 40 stolen base group. But of course, recent additions of Ronald Acuna and Shohei Ohtani, and of course Barry Bonds did it. That makes perfect sense. And Alfonso Soriano getting that done as well. Now we are moving on to our minor league spotlight, and we've got minor league championship series going on / completed. We're gonna start from the bottom here. We're gonna start first of all, let's start with rookie ball, where the Blue Jays were the FCL Rookie Ball champions, the Blue Jays affiliate. The Angels were the Arizona Complex League champions, and the Padres were the Dominican Summer League champions. So if you are a fan of any of those 3 teams, congratulations. Your absolute lowest level of your organization won a championship. Boom, there you go. I guess I can't complain or 2 of those teams can't complain because their major league team is in the playoffs, but I cannot think of a more appropriate accolade for Larry B's Los Angeles Angels, as he notes, not in the playoffs. But I cannot think of a more appropriate accolade than them winning the absolute lowest level championship you possibly can in the world of baseball. In single A, low A affiliates, we had the Daytona Tortugas, with defeating of the Cincinnati Reds system, defeating the Lakeland Flying Tigers, Detroit Tigers, obviously, 2-0 in the Florida State League. We have the Lynchburg Hillcats of the Guardians defeated the Columbia Fireflies for the Royals in the Carolina League. And we had the San Jose Giants, as Larry jumps on here. The San Jose Giants defeated the Inland Empire 66ers. That's the Giants and Angels affiliates in the California League. Good catch there, Larry, for California Low A. Moving on to our High A affiliates, The West Michigan Whitecaps, which are the Tigers, which I think is the second time I've mentioned the Tigers here? Oh, they made the championship series in the Florida State League, but hey, good on the Tigers organization there. They defeated the Cedar Rapids Colonels of the Twins 2-0 in their series. The Brooklyn Cyclones defeated the Hub City Spottenburgers, which is a great name. That's the Rangers affiliate in the South Atlantic League. And the Everett Aqua Sox, excuse me, of the Mariners defeated the Eugene Emeralds of the Giants in the Northwest League to win that championship series. In Double A, we had the Birmingham Barons of the White Sox defeated the Montgomery Biscuits of the Rays. That's in the Southern League. Or actually, no, the Montgomery is leading the series. That series actually is currently ongoing. They are leading the series 1-0. Next game is, I believe, going on right now. We have the Springfield Cardinals of the Cardinals are leading the Midland Rockhounds or the Athletics. This is the Texas League. That Midland is actually up 1-0. That game is going on today as well. And we have for the Eastern League the Erie Seawolves of the Tigers. So the Tigers showing up yet again here. That's 3 for 3. Are leading the Binghamton Rumble Ponies of the Mets 1-0. That is absolutely amazing. And in Triple A, no Tigers in this one that I see. We have in the Pacific Coast League, we have the Las Vegas Aviators of the Athletics, which I think that's the second time I've had an athletics team on here too, are facing off against the Tacoma Rainiers of the Mariners. That series starts today. And we have the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp facing off against the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders. That's the Marlins and the Yankees in the International League. That series set to begin today as well. So that is your minor league spotlight. Congratulations, and congratulations to the Tigers. Goodness gracious, showing out in 3 of the 4 levels there. That is unbelievable performance there by those affiliates. So way to go Detroit there, showing out very well. Now we are on to what will probably be our final segment here. It's the award races and for MVP, Cy Young, Manager of the Year, all of that jazz. And to kick off this segment, we have another video from Ricky.
What's going on, everybody? Ricky K here for the Bullpen Bulletin, IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. It's the last show of the regular season here on the Bullpen Bulletin, so it's time to talk some awards. We've made some predictions that were wrong during the season on standings. Maybe we'll make some right predictions when it comes to awards. And for the AL MVP to start off with, I know you would think, hey, Ricky's the Yankee fan. He's going to say Aaron Judge. I'm going to go with Cal Raleigh. It's really hard to ignore a guy that's got 58 home runs. Probably he's going to get to 60 because he's playing the Rockies this week. You would think he hits a home run. Maybe he hits one in the last series of the year against the Dodgers, who probably won't be playing for anything at that point. It should be 60 homers, catching one of the better pitching staffs in the league. And as good as Aaron Judge is, he's, I think, having a really strong year, hitting over 300, going to hit 50 homers in all likelihood. He's better in every statistical category, but you're going to have people with voter fatigue not vote for Judge. It's really going to be the casual fan voting for Raleigh, the analytics voting for Judge. I think it's going to be one of the closest races we have. I think they were tied in odds at some point yesterday, but I'm going to go with Raleigh, but I think it'll be really close. AL Cy Young, I'm going to go with Tarek Skubal, be the first back-to-back AL Cy Young Award winner since Pedro 25 years ago. Garrett Crochet is close, but it's hard to ignore Skubal with a 2.26 ERA, 224 strikeouts. I know he's had a little bit of rough stretch the last couple of weeks, but really Skubal can cement it if he can pitch well, both in this game that he's going on right now against Cleveland and against the Red Sox to end the season, which they'll likely need him for. I think he is going to win his second. AL Rookie of the Year, I'm going to go with Nick Kurtz of the Sacramento A's. He has been absolutely fantastic. 30-plus home run season. A's, I think, have someone in their bright future for their future. In the NL MVP, I want to say Kyle Schwarber so much. I think it's one of those things where I love what Schwarber's doing for the Phillies. 50-plus home runs, leadoff hitter, but Ohtani is Ohtani. Eventually, voter fatigue, I think, is going to catch up with Ohtani, but coming back to pitch, he's having another 50-homer season, and he's going to likely join Barry Bonds to win 4 MVPs. It's a remarkable run. I just don't see how. I hope Schwarber at least keeps it close, but Ohtani's going to get this. NL Cy Young is Paul Skeens, and you just hate the Pirates continue to waste him. But even on a bad team, to have an ERA of pretty much a little over 2, like, that's how dominant he's been. Christopher Sanchez is close, but not that close. Paul Skeens is going to get it. In the NL Rookie of the Year, I'm going to go with Drake Baldwin of the Braves. I know Cade Horton's been really good, but Baldwin, to me, you look at his numbers, 15-plus homers. He plays every day, played 114 games. I think he's been a big part of the Braves. He's been consistent every single month. I think Horton probably wins it, but I'm going to go with Baldwin. AL Manager of the Year, I'm going to go with Dan Wilson of the Mariners. I think Seattle going on this run is going to really help him out. And then in the NL side, I'm gonna go Clayton McCullough from the Marlins. I know Pat Murphy will probably win this award, but considering the Marlins are still in it with a week to go, if they can go 5-1 this week, they end the year at 81-81. I don't think anybody expected the Marlins to get even close to 80 wins this year. They are building something, and you could clearly see McCullough, his Dodger background, kind of helping them out. So I'm going to go with Clayton McCullough. That's my award predictions. I'm sure Mike disagrees with me, but let's find out. Let's go back to him live here on the Bullpen Bulletin on IE Sports Radio.
That was Ricky K with his predictions. A little bit accusatory, thinking that I would just disagree with him. I do disagree with him on a few of them. Let's just start going down the list. I'm actually going to go in reverse order because he started with the MVP. I'll end with the MVP. I'll start with Manager of the Year. He makes a great point about McCullough in the National League for the Marlins. I think they've gone on a fantastic run, but I gotta think Pat Murphy, not only that he has led this team to success, but to the amount of success. This team's going to be the 1 seed in the National League, and I don't think anybody predicted that in a in a league that has a Chicago Cubs team that people would say on paper is probably a better team, a Dodgers team that, yes, has fought injuries, but has the probable MVP in Ohtani, and on paper is a better team. Philadelphia. Of all of those teams, Milwaukee is going to be the one that comes out number 1. That's why I think Pat Murphy gets the Manager of the League or Manager of the Year award there. For American League, he brings up a good one again with the Mariners manager. I'm going to go with Stephen Voigt of the Guardians, kind of leaning the same thought with Ricky had with the Marlins. I mean, the fact that Cleveland could come back from where they were to win this division, I think somebody has to get a lot of really good credit. I think the Mariners manager would probably be a great second pick, but I'm going to go with Stephen Voigt. As for the Rookie of the Year, I am going to lean Cade Horton. I think his impact has just been a little bit more, and I hate to say it because it really shouldn't factor into these discussions, but the Cubs have been the better team and probably have the better exposure right now. So I think a lot of people are looking at Horton much more than they're looking at Baldwin. Don't get me wrong, Baldwin, very good year, very good young player. I would be excited about his future if I was the Braves, but I think it's going to go to Cade Horton, although it would not surprise me if Baldwin came away with the victory, especially depending on how the last week goes. That's important to note in some of these races. In the American League Rookie of the Year, Nick Kurtz, yeah, I agree. Phenomenal season for him. Honestly, if the Athletics were doing a little bit better, you could probably get some MVP votes. Like I said, if the Athletics were doing a little bit better, he might regardless be way down the list. But no, Nick Kurtz, phenomenal season, 33 home runs, almost 1,000 OPS. Really spectacular for him. I don't think that's even a debate there. Cy Young, also very little debate. It's going to be Paul Skeens, but I do want to give some love. He's not going to win it. He's probably going to get most of the third place votes. I do want to give some love to Freddie Peralta of the Brewers. Phenomenal season, 2.68 ERA, 17-6, might be 18-6. I'm sure he'll get one more play. 1.07 WHIP, 200 strikeouts. Just all around excellent season for the Brewers as their ace, and it's going to be their ace as he leads them through the playoffs. But it's going to be Paul Skeens, no debate really there. Cy Young, I think he's right on Skubal here as well, although another guy who I would give love to, even though he's not going to get anywhere near the votes, Hunter Brown of the Astros, one of the consistent spots as the team has dealt with so many injuries. 2.3 ERA, 1.01 WHIP, 200 strikeouts for him as well. Just overall, very good season for him. 21 quality starts as well, racking up those numbers, 180 innings in 30 games, which is really good by today's standards. So Scubal's probably going to win it, although I don't know. He didn't have a great start today, and I'm sure Crochet's probably got another start coming up on the belt. So I wonder if Crochet, with a really strong finish, might be able to catch him. That would be interesting to watch. For the National League MVP, he's right, Ohtani. I can't argue that one. Another 50-plus home run season, insane OPS, just absolutely phenomenal player. And then American League MVP might be the most interesting one to me. It's definitely probably going to be the most interesting discussion because, you've got Aaron Judge and you've got Cal Raleigh. You make the arguments, was Judge more impactful to the Yankees than Raleigh was to the Mariners? I don't know if you can definitively make that statement, but he was definitely very important to the Yankees. Raleigh's got 58 home runs. Like Ricky said, he probably gets to 60. If he gets 60, it's a really tough argument. Judge does have a major lead in WAR if you want to just lean on the statistics. And you look at some of the advanced numbers. If you look beyond the home runs and the RBI, Judge in fewer games has more hits, more walks, fewer strikeouts, technically more, or actually, amazingly, Raleigh hasn't beaten stolen bases. That's a really interesting fact. Joey Jets noting that the Yankees tied it up. And Brian jumping in here, Crochet has made a huge difference for the Sox. That is true. He has been a major piece in the Sox, and Skubal has been one of the pieces in Detroit's downfall. So that could be a dark horse race down the finish there. But definitely a good observation there, Brian. Crochet has been huge for the White Sox. Back to the MVP, Judge has the superior batting average, the superior on base percentage, the superior slugging, the superior OPS. Gosh, it is a tough discussion. I think you probably let the last week play out, I would say, but it's the toughest battle. It's the toughest discussion of the races. I'm gonna give it to Judge right now, but if Raleigh doesn't get to 60, they're gonna have a hard time not giving him that award. But man, probably one of the best MVP races we've seen in recent memory in the American League. That is going to be a close one. I'm very curious to see how voters vote on that. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Thank you for Ricky for his video submissions. Thank you to Larry B, Joey Jets, and Brian Francione all jumping in to the chat room. Let's see if we have any more significant final scores in the baseball world before we completely sign off. The Phillies game, Marlins game got a rain delay, so that kind of stinks. And no other game has finished. Yankees and White Sox are in the bottom of the ninth. The Red Sox Blue Jays are in the bottom of the ninth as the Red Sox look to close that one out. Once again, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you to everybody who watched live. Tons of viewers tonight. Great to see. Thank you all for joining in. A little bit of a programming note, assuming everything schedule-wise works out. With the playoffs starting next week, we are going to aim to have our playoff preview show on Monday as opposed to Tuesday so that we can catch those playoff wildcard series that start on Tuesday. Also catch if there's somehow a tiebreaker game on Monday. That'll be really interesting to see. Also, maybe, this is very distant, I'm not committing to this at all, but there's a chance of a post-wildcard pre-divisional round show towards the end of the week. Very chance. Don't want to commit to that, but we're going to talk about it and we're going to see because, we want to catch those series too, which will start, gosh, that would technically be not this upcoming weekend, but the following weekend. Wow. What a season. What an amazing sport. Also, weird for baseball's weird, but in any case. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you all for tuning in. Once again, this has been Mike Patt for the Bullpen Bulletin here on IE Sports Radio. Your direct feed for all that is sports. Have a great week. Enjoy the wonderful baseball to finish the season. And we'll see you next time.